Next question. This is again a question on Supreme Court impeachment of the higher judiciary. So it goes like, consider the following statements. The first statement: the motion to impeach a judge of the Supreme Court of India cannot be rejected by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha as per Judges Inquiry Act of 1968. So three things. Motion to impeach a judge cannot be rejected by the Lok Sabha Speaker. That is the basic idea of it. Second statement says that the Constitution of India defines and gives details of what constitutes incapacity and proved misbehavior of the judges of the Supreme Court. Third goes like, the details of the process of impeachment of the judges of the Supreme Court of India are given in the Judges Inquiry Act of 1968. And fourth is a pretty long thing. If the motion of the impeachment of a judge is taken up for voting, the law requires the motion to be backed by each house of the parliament and supported by a majority of the total membership of the house and not less than 2/3 of the total members of that house present and voting. So this is a question on the very detailed nuances of the impeachment procedure of Supreme Court judges. Do you know why this question came around last year? Because there had been attempts to impeach the Chief Justice in India. Do you recall anything of that sort? Do you recall anything that happened at that point? If you recall minimal information, you would know for sure that the judge was not impeached in the first place. That would be one thing. And if you are in a position to recall something more, you could know that the parliament has not accepted the motion to impeach, which means it didn't even pass the first stage. So how do we solve this question? So one way of looking at it is, okay, if I have learned about Judges Inquiry Act, all detailed provisions of it, about the impeachment procedure, I should be knowing pakka, then I should be knowing all the majority and what are the type of special majorities that is required. That is one way. If I know all this information, maybe I am in a position to attempt this question. Okay, but that's not what we are going to do. We are very bold in attempting questions, so we are going to try and find out relevant information which will help us navigate this question. So let us see the first statement. The motion to impeach a judge of the Supreme Court cannot be rejected by the Speaker of the Lok Sabha. Okay, let the Judges Inquiry Act, let that addition stay there. Okay, do you think that would be the case? Motion to impeach a Supreme Court judge. Do you know, I hope all of you know that impeachment process happens in the legislature. Okay, I hope all of you know that. Okay, I think that would be one minimal information you should be having, that removal of Supreme Court judges doesn't happen in the judiciary, but in the parliament. Okay, that would be one information. All of us, I think at least we can even logically assume that information to be true. Okay, if we know this information, how do we proceed to the first statement? Okay, we know that if it is happening in the parliament, the utmost power with respect to parliament resides in the speaker. Okay, Lok Sabha speaker is the highest authority when it comes to Lok Sabha. Similarly, vice chairman, the deputy president or the vice chairman in the Rajya Sabha. So that is how chairman in the Rajya Sabha. That is how the hierarchy of power goes in the legislatures. So do you think that a motion to remove the Chief Justice of this country, which is a very important decision, it can't be rejected by the Lok Sabha Speaker at all? Okay, what if a party with 5 members or maybe 3 members brings up a resolution to remove, they have some personal issue with the Chief Justice and they try to bring a resolution in the parliament, and since the speaker can't reject it, naturally it will go to the next stage. Do you think our constitution makers would have made a provision like that? Okay, but see, another way to look at it in a very similar vein is that, see, when it comes to Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, the speaker of the presiding officer of the house, his or her main duty is to interpret the constitution, or maybe interpret the spirit of the constitution, or he or she would be trying to bring to their mind what would have been the mind of constitution makers when they made a particular constitution. That is how they deal with the regular problems they face in the house. Constitution is their anchor. do you think that the constitution won't be having a provision for the speaker to exercise his discretion in all these particular cases? Right? Because it's a really important thing. It can affect the stability of this country. It can affect the balance between judiciary and legislature in this country. It can even topple the entire judicial system in this country if such a precaution or caveat is not there. Right? So the first statement doesn't make any sense if you have read through constitution or if you know how seriously and rigorously made our constitution is. So even from all those mere logic, I think you can safely assume that there should be some check, some power at the level of speaker to judge whether the impeachment motion against a judge is frivolous or it warrants serious attention. So that is the first thing I want you to focus. So going by that thing, the first statement can be eliminated. So if you eliminate the first statement, see the options, we have 4 options. So out of that, if you eliminate first option, only two things remain. Option B, that is 3 only, and option C, that is 3 and 4. So now we want to see whether 4 works here. That is the only thing we need to figure out. Okay, from this we are sure that 3 is true, right? That is another information you can take from here. So the impeachment of judges of the Supreme Court is given in the Judges Inquiry Act, and that is also true. That is true also, even otherwise. So the 3 is kind of settled for us. Now we will move to the option 4. So when the motion of impeachment of a judge is taken up for voting, what should be the kind of majority that should decide for or against that impeachment? Okay, you know about the different kinds of majorities, right? You know about majority of the simple majority. Do you think a simple majority will work in this case? No, we know for sure that a simple majority won't work in this case, right? Because removing the Supreme Court Chief Justice, or removing the, the President of this country, or removing the CAG, or remove the Election Commission. So these are some of the most protected posts in this country in the interest of constitutional safety and supremacy. Okay, so removing the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court is going to be a pretty hard battle. Okay, so you have to assume the highest level of protection to the Supreme Court Chief Justice, which means when it comes to majority of members in the House, the highest kind of majority we can imagine. See, just read the statement. You should have in both houses there should be a majority of the total membership, right? It's not majority of the people present in the House, it's a majority of total membership, which means if it's 540 in the Lok Sabha, it should be more than 50% of that, right? So that is one thing. Okay, it would come around to 270 plus, right? Then, and not less than 2/3 of the total members present and voting. That is again a highest demand. Out of the people present in the House, more than 2/3 of the people should be voting against or voting for the impeachment motion or voting against the Chief Justice. It's a pretty tight case, right? That is the highest kind of protection you can give to such a supreme, high-standing constitutional functionary, because that is one way you can safely assume that the statement 4 makes so much sense. Okay, now I think it's fair and it's easily and reasonably fair to conclude that statement 4 is also true in this context. 3 has been made true by UPSC slack setting of options. So I'll bet my chances on option C, that is 3 and 4. Okay.